All right, today we are talking how to turn this into this in Photoshop in 5 minutes, so stay tuned. What's going on, everyone? Alexander back at you with another tutorial, JoffOxphotography.com. Thank you for tuning in. Today we were talking color manipulation within Photoshop and how I achieved the so-called red forest effect from my post yesterday. So let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop and see what's up. In Photoshop, Camera Raw, obviously, here's where I make my base adjustments. And I say base adjustments because I want to make subtle, slight adjustments to prep my photo for color manipulation. And of course, I'll go into my basic tab. I'll make it a little brighter. I don't want to go overboard here because the effects I do apply later are going to affect my exposure, so I don't want to go too overboard. I'll bring up my shadows just a little bit, and my histogram is, as you can see, looking a little more balanced. Now I'm going to go into my calibration tab, and this is where you can really set the tone for your photo. If you're doing fall photos as a photographer for clients or maybe you're just taking photos for your family, and you want to achieve more of a springtime effect or a winter effect, or of course a fall effect as we're in now, this is a great way to do it. If you want to make your picture more cool or more warm, manipulating these sliders right here will help you achieve a very cool effect. One of my favorite is the teal and orange effect. And why I bring that up now is because I obviously want to turn these greens into reds, and the best way to do that is to get them to another color that will help them turn into a red color later in Photoshop. So very simple to apply the teal and orange effect. Drag your hue and your reds all the way to the right, and your blue and your primaries all the way to the left. I'm sorry, your blue and the blue hue all the way to the left. I messed that up. I'm not a good teacher. All right, now as you can see before and after, the greens are more orange. We've achieved more of a teal and orange effect. This isn't the best example, but I'm doing this in this photo to, like I mentioned, get the oranges, which were greens, red. So let's go ahead and do that now. While it's loading, I'm going to talk quickly about HSL. If you're not familiar with that term, hue, saturation, and luminance in terms of colors, hue being your color, saturation being the intensity or the level of color, and your luminance being the brightness of your color. All of those things can be adjusted to achieve a different look within the same color palette even. So really important to keep in mind as you're color grading your photos. And color grading your photos, be consistent. Being consistent will give your gallery and give your photos, even your page, your brand, a more consistent look and appeal. For me, I'm heavy on the teal and oranges, like I mentioned. I'm heavy on the rich, vibrant colors. And I keep in mind those colors that I'm using throughout my workflow, throughout my process when I'm editing, to achieve more of a style that that can be related to me. And one of the best things for a photographer is to achieve a style that is unique to him or her. And people can stop and see their photo and be like, that's so-and-so's photo, because they already know based on their editing and use of colors, that's their photo. Anyways, we are getting a little sidetracked. Let's go ahead and jump back into it. So of course we want to, the title of this video is the red forest effect. We want to make the oranges red. Really simple. Let's go ahead and go to our hue saturation adjustment layer and drag the hue rather to the left. And as you can see, we are making more and more of that red forest effect, and voila, there we have it. But we're not done yet because we have applied a blanket effect over the whole image, something I always talk about with when I'm talking editing and helping coach people in editing. Don't apply effect to the whole photo. It's going to come across as very amateurish. Something I've made many mistakes in my career as a creative. I would just apply, whether it's contrast or clarity or exposure, to the whole image and just leave it at that. Instead, use layer masks to apply that effect to certain portions of your image. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Well, right now actually. So we achieved that red forest effect. Let's go ahead, and as you can see in the tab, we have a layering mask. It's all white. So we're going to use a brush that's all black to paint away that effect in K, our model. And we're getting rid of that effect on her because we don't want her to be the same color as the background. And of course, it's a little distracting because no one's bright red like that. So we want to maintain her skin tones as best as possible. And this is how we do it. All right. And now I'm going to take away that effect in the water too, because little embarrassing story. One time I did a nude photo shoot like this, and the model was standing in the water, and I edited the photo to blur everything out because Instagram and rules and whatnot, but I forgot to edit the reflection of the water so you could see everything anyway. So, but anyways, yeah, make sure you're mirroring your edit within the water. So yeah, we'll take away that effect from her there. And yeah, there you have it. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and create a duplicate layer, which I forgot to do, and merge those two layers so we're maintaining our original copy just in case we messed up somewhere. What am I going to do now? I always ask myself, what does a photo need as I'm editing? And I usually have an idea of how I'm going to edit, but I always ask myself as I'm going along, what does a photo need? Sometimes I have to take a break for a few minutes and step away and just see, because my eyes are playing tricks on me, right? And then I come back 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, it is underexposed, or I did go too heavy with the color grading or that use of a LUT. So right now I know I'm going to post on Instagram, so I'll go ahead and adjust the ratio 4:5 and frame it to where the top thirds is around her eye. There we go. Do I like that? Yeah, I do. Okay, we do cut her off a little bit in the reflection, but the reflection isn't so much of a concern for me right here. Okay, that brings me to another caveat of the day. When you're editing and you're creating, we get so used to these platforms that are forcing us to create in a certain style or a certain way, such as Instagram with their crop, and Snapchat and Facebook and YouTube, and every platform has their own rules, right? So I challenge myself as a creative to always create on my own terms. I think it's something we have a responsibility to do as a creative, is to create on our own terms, go out there and experiment, go out there and do new things, and not worry about what the masses think, not worry about what different platforms are forcing us to do. Just get out there and create. Don't crop all your images at 4:5. I don't want all my images at 4:5. I want beautiful landscapes sometimes. I want to do things differently, and over time, maybe that can help define me even more as an artist, or even bring about something new within the industry, within the creative realm. So just keep that in mind. I always encourage people to create on their own terms. Let's get back to it. All right, so now I want to talk about one last thing, and I know we said 5 minutes here. The last thing we want to do is to use luminance to make our subject stand out. One thing I've talked about in my videos before is utilizing light to make your subject stand out from your background, because if your subject is blending into your background or your subject is underexposed, your photo is going to be lackluster. It's not going to be as impressive as it was if your subject was popping out. You can utilize colors in the same sense, and I'm going to show you now. I'll bring up my Camera Raw, and I'll go down to my color mixer tab. I'll make sure you can see here, hue, saturation, luminance. I'll just make sure I'm on the luminance tab. And since our subject's skin tones are mainly orange, I'm going to know dragging this to the right will enhance her orange skin tones, because we're increasing the luminance of the orange in the color palette. And there you have it, before and after. And it's mirroring in the water too. And I like that. So yeah. Well, there you have it. We have achieved a red forest effect, and we've talked about HSL, hue, saturation, luminance, and its importance, and how to manipulate colors to achieve a certain effect or style. Keep in mind, I could have changed the trees blue or green or whatever. Well, they're already green, but any color I want to create a new world. And that's what I'm all about, is seeing my world differently. I turned a seemingly normal photo into something that took me into a whole new realm and a whole new world. And I really enjoyed doing this. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I've helped. I've gotten a few questions about this process. I hope I answered your questions. My name is Alexander. I'm a creative in RVA, a proud one. I hope to inspire you to keep creating, because I know what it's like when you're living 9 to 5 and you're not creating, you're not getting out there to do what you love doing. So just always make time for you. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.